Benvinguts a la primera edició de la Maker.
Hello, welcome to the first Maker Fair Barcelona. It's a great pleasure to give the floor to Marisol Lopez, Director at the Department of Culture at the Catalan government, as well as Kim Salvi Mas, Chair at the University of Girona. Hello, it is a great pleasure to be amongst you and to share this inauguration session. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the organizers. It has been quite a very difficult year, very difficult for all of us, but we can end on a positive note because this year put at the center, at the core, the technologies as well as the digital world. That's why we are here in this virtual event. We are all involved in this very interesting event. I do represent the Catalan Institute for Culture Enterprises. It is a department that belongs to the Department of Culture of the Catalan government, and we are aiming at making closer the technology and putting together technology and culture for distribution and also to spread the message in quite a normal way, embracing all the opportunities that the technology world is offering to us. That's why we really love these kind of projects. That's why we want to give our support to Microfair that began together with the cooperation of the University of Girona, because we can feel a different perspective. We can put together scientific people, hackers, and also people working in the art field and design field. This is our main goal. We are fighting for making possible that culture and technology be together and making people to get out of the box and get out of this comfort zone to open different spaces to meet different people. Therefore, we have this mixing and this melting pot of visions and perspective, able and creating and enabling different projects, something that was very difficult at the beginning. We're talking before the opening session. I was talking with the chair of the University of Girona. We can witness several centers. We can see different projects working for the 5G, for robotics, for AI. We can see different fairs and events that put at its core these subjects and matters. And we people belonging to the culture sector, we feel something that is lacking. Usually, technology works a lot with health, with finance, but we do believe that from the art and culture perspective, we can contribute a lot for robotics and for AI. Therefore, we can at least provoke in a joint manner, and this is a strategy for citizens to be aware and to make technology much more visible. We don't want to close this work only at the research centers and enterprises. We do believe that it is important for the country development, to citizens to be aware, to discover new ways of making things, and culture and art is a good way to make that possible. That's why that we believe that from Maker Faire, you that are working in this sense, this uh, year we'll talk about AI, we'll see different robots on the scene, and we'll see a lot of theater writers and drama writers that are writing some pieces for robots. We'll analyze different spaces and how from this perspective, we'll be able to see ourselves and the role that we play for technology development that will empower us to transform the whole society. Let me talk about something that to me it's very important. Women in technology. We are very few women in the technology field. That's why we must foster, we must give much more visibility to women. They must be role models. Therefore, I believe that we have a lot of technology women. They are ready. Women, we are not out of this world. Maybe we need a little bit much more visibility, and it is important for the future generations to offer much more visibility to women and to create new opportunities and new talent generations, new women getting involved in this industry. We need to count on different mentors, women mentors. I had the chance to participate in a roundtable that were working in the video game sector and in animation movies. And finally, we reached to the conclusion that that would be the last roundtable and the last panel to claim for women presence in this field. We hope that in the next future this won't be needed anymore. I'd like to motivate all the people that are involved in this Maker Faire. I want you to know that this Maker Faire event is a great opportunity to be more curious and to let us be surprised. I believe that we must learn. Continuous learning is always important. We never must get rid of learning. We need to continue to learn and to be curious and to let us be surprised. You count on very powerful members and you can ask whatever you want, right? That's the opportunity because we Catalan people, we are a little bit shy. We don't like to make questions. I think that it's always good to find new strategies, new answers, and this is kind of a virtuous circle that has no end. And by the end of this Maker Faire, we'll be much more knowledgeable. We will be able to learn much more, and at the end, we'll have much more questions. This is the main goal, I guess. I hope that you will have fun. This would mean that you were interested in all the matters, and this session will be followed by many others. And I'd like to give the floor right now to Kim Salvi, Chair of the University of Girona. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much for these welcoming words. Dear SOCO director and my dear friend, the director of the Department of Culture. A few days ago at the University of Girona, we made a new, we created a new institution, a new chair. It is the 39th chair at the University of Girona, and it's named TechNet. It combines several activities and sectors. We combine subjects such as culture, education, online. This new chair, named NECTEC, comes from this word in Greek, techne. What is techne? Techne is to offer all the tools and instruments for creating new elements and to create new objects that fusion technology, the individuals, and matter. Technology as a global knowledge that connects the main goal of the knowledge as well as the role of individuals. When I was preparing my speech, I really wanted to share this message in this Maker Faire opening session. This is our wish. The role of the individuals, the role of human beings. Human beings, they are able to intervene in nature, they are able to intervene in society in order to create something new, in order to be able to create something new thanks to all the tools and elements that we have and that will uh, make a different reality. This maker movement stems from this innate wish to make things possible and to have much more things available and to learn by doing, to have much more knowledge through a creative evolution. We can also add that it's not only an individual learning process. It is a common learning process. It is a collective learning process, what we are aiming at, the so-called idea that the word co-working conveys. So let's take advantage of all these digital tools to empower people, to empower communities. This is quite important to us. In this regard, the University of Girona is offering several examples that are quite related with the Maker Faire movement and what Maker Faire represents and embodies. I'm talking about the working group of digital.edu such as EXIT, DEPAPA, and many other research and department centers. We count on loads of research experiences that are able to intervene in the manufacturing sector as well as in human development. Therefore, thanks to the use of these new technologies, we'll be able to improve, we'll be able to grow, we'll be able to have a much more literate society, much progressive from a social perspective. Thanks to the interaction between art, science, technology, and human science. This is quite ambitious, right? This is what I mentioned at the beginning. Everything can be expressed through the word techne. Techne doesn't divide the areas of knowledge. The knowledge is something holistic that belongs to human beings. Maker Faire movement, as well as our teachers and professors, are aiming at creating a new kind of knowledge that will have an impact on the different knowledge that will make our society to be better. This is, at the end of the day, the most powerful message that I want to convey to you. This is what really makes sense to Maker Faire, to build, to make things, and in doing so, through tiny and humble initiatives that solid and robust initiatives will be able to change the status quo. Mostly right now, in this present time, where we have to respect culture, where we have to be to improve solidarity and to work together to have a fair world, despite the loads of obstacles and inconvenience that we will encounter all in this new path that we will follow. In order to conclude, let me just quote John Berger, an art criticist and writer. He analyzes the birth of art as a human expression, and he says and talks about the first drawings in the caves that were made from the different gaps that were in the rocks, as if nature speaks, and the first artists were able to follow the way of nature. These paintings were made in very, very hidden places. They were like ritual. They were useless, maybe, but no, they were useful. They made possible to human beings to recall that they were alive and they lived that place. In order to go beyond the reality of survival, many times art is just a testimonial that reaches this role thanks to the technique of drawing of the prehistoric times. In art, we can see this wish of better express ourselves and to be more human. Tools, as well as maker culture, it is a new expression of freedom. It is the freedom of speech, which is something individual but also collective. And all the series of examples that we'll be witnessing through all the Maker Faire and the experiences that we'll be sharing will be the conclusion of the role that human beings are playing for many centuries. We must intervene and make possible this evolution in order to live much better in a better community and to enhance culture. I hope that we'll have a very fruitful Maker Faire. Thank you very much to the Catalan Department of Culture for its support. Thank you so much to Socotec. Thank you very much to the Polytechnic School, all the departments and research teams that were involved, and to all the individuals and people that made possible this Maker Fair. On behalf of the University of Girona, I wish you all a very fruitful Maker Fair. Thanks so much.
Muchísimas gracias
Thank
a
you
todos
so
los
much. Now I
organizadores
would
y
like to
a
give
toda
the
la
floor
ayuda
to Mariangels Pelag.
para la introducción
I just made a very short introduction to this Maker Fair. Thank you very much to both of you. And now this will inaugurate this Maker Fair. I hope to see you soon. Hello, good evening, and welcome to this first Maker Faire Girona edition, a first edition that was born after the invitation from Socotec. We as coordinators of the Polytechnic University, and thank you so much to all of you that made possible this Maker Faire, and thank you so much for counting on us and to help you to organize this Maker Faire. However, let me introduce myself. I'm Mariangel Peleg. I am the director of the High Polytechnic School of the University of Girona, and I'd like to share with you a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, I want you to know a little bit, in a nutshell, what is our school. Our Polytechnic, it is a center that belongs to the University of Girona. We have the engineering, architecture, and building science. It is a project that has got around 2,200 students, 300 teachers, and we are working around 45 people that work in the administration departments. We have a training offer with 12 degrees, Some of these degrees are double degrees. We have seven masters. One of them is an Erasmus Mundus and two inter-university masters. And also we have a PhD program. We work in the agri-food sector, architecture and building science, the manufacturing sector and IT sector. I'm not going to talk about all the degrees that we have. You can find all the information in our website. However, let me tell you that all the education that we have from the Polytechnica, it is something that made us very proud. It is proximity, not just a physical proximity in Girona region, but also we have quite a close relationship between teachers, professors, and students. But we are also proud because we are at the front line when talking about research. And also, we have a patronate that it's composed by hundreds of companies and associations. This exists together with the Polytechnica University for more than 6 years, as well as the alumni associations, the industrial students. They organized the 21st edition of the Industrial Forum in a virtual format. And as I mentioned before, I told you that we wanted all to be at the front line, and you will double check these days because we'll count on several researchers that belong to our university. And let me carry on working because this is a great opportunity to coordinate this Maker Fair in Girona. It is an open center that uses technology and global collaboration and local production to boost creativity, innovation, and productivity. You talked about the frontier between mathematics, engineering, technology, arts, science. The training and the education that we offer tries to comply with this purpose. We want to have a quite inclusive university. We want to have the microfair in Girona, not only in Paris, Bilbao, or Barcelona, not only in the big cities, right? That's why we created this amazing ecosystem, and this is what we want to share in Girona region with all the advances as well as in the agri-food sector, in the fashion industry, in order to get a better world from a political and social perspective. Technology, as we all know, all along history made us much more human. So we have the duty to generalize the knowledge from the science and co-creation fields. All society needs to get involved. That's why we are organizing together with the Socotech this first Girona Microfair. Designers, cooks, technology members, we want to offer you a great Maker Fair 2020 in this virtual environment. But we'll come back because we want to invite you all to visit Girona. We live in a paradise. To us, it is very important to get connected, to have fun, and to innovate. Thanks so much, and welcome once again to this Maker Faire Girona 2020, to this first edition that it's not going to be the last one. Thanks so much, Mary Angels. Well, it was spectacular. I'm really moved by your words. I'd like to welcome you all. I'm Mariona Sille. I'm the co-founder and co-director of Socotec. It is a social and digital inclusion lab that is placed in an old chocolate factory. It is a great opportunity to us to get involved in this Maker Fair 2020 Girona, aiming at becoming a yearly event in Girona. It is a great event, as George Steiner mentioned before. It's something magical that makes social science and science in itself to progress, and not only in social environments, but also in literature. Let me just reinforce the creativity of a Maker Faire. My Maker Faire, it is the biggest event of digital culture, gets inspiration from digital world, as Jorge Bayenbergs that today will celebrate his anniversary, and we must be able to face uncertainty, the different reactions between machines and humans show that technology is not only a technical thing. It puts together culture, politics, economy. Technology, it is just an extension of the human being that offers a new perspective, a new the open code, the global digital design distribution, local manufacturing and production, circular economy, and interdisciplinarity belongs to DNA of this maker culture that boosts this social transformation through digital proceedings and allows us to reduce the pollution in our planet and to uh, promote self-sufficient societies, adapting scale production to real human needs. Maker Girona 2020 is stressing this new look, aiming at a new reality, finding common places beyond artificial borders in a much more complex world and in an uncertain world. Let me tell you that it was very stimulating to coordinate this initiative together with the Higher Polytechnic School of the University of Girona and our lab, Socotec. All the researchers and all the students YBio BCN, Lycon Bees, Wayena, and many others. And also, it's a great pleasure to count with the support of the Catalan Department of Culture of the Catalan government, as well as the City Council of Girona. In such a complex reality, I'd like to thank all the participation, hackers, cook scientists, as well as technology people that are presenting in this Maker Fair Girona their own projects, they advanced projects, including and embracing all the maker members, the university research centers, and social innovative companies, aiming at offering new solutions to add value to society. Therefore, this Maker Fair invites you to get deeper in the knowledge, together with research centers, design schools, fab labs, maker spaces, and many other institutions. We hope that we'll have a great session between the collaboration of international participants, and we hope that you will nourish the discussions. Let me just insist on the idea that I'm deeply thankful. Thank you to you all. And now we are going to give the floor to all the members participating in this Maker Faire Girona 2020. I hope that you will have fun.
Dentro.
Molt bona tarda.
Good evening. Welcome to you all, or good morning, or good night for those that are listening to us from Indonesia. I'm joking. Well, let's begin this presentation, researching and innovating the crossroad of science. We have loads of interesting participants, participants that will talk about the culinary world and how physics and chemical sector has been involved in the culinary industry. We have a great panel. We have Eloise. She worked in Bully, Harvard, as well as Tony Massenes, the Alicia Foundation, Tony Massenes, and many others. We have something special for you, such as Thomas Diaz. He is a great researcher in the smart cities field, and also Paco Perez that made something great. He is a cook. He put technology at service of the culinary world. So I think that we'll have a load of things to share. So we have the director and manager of the research center at CIE Can Roca. She began working at Il Bulli, then she went to Harvard, and now she's working at the CIE de Can Roca, just around the corner. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Salvador. Well, I was only for a while at Harvard. Thanks so much for your kind words. Yes, I did come from the science world. I'm a chemical engineer. I worked together with Tony Massanes in the past at the Alicia Foundation. And after several stages, I'm working for more than 6 years at the Isla de Can Roca, mainly at La Masia, which is the research center of the CIE. Let me share with you what does this event means to us. This crossroads between science and the culinary industry, and how we are trying to make our best in this quite difficult environment, an environment that makes us keep on growing. Let me tell you that in Masia, it is a tiny house just in front of the restaurant. We have like a courtyard, and it is the place where we develop and make a project growth, a project called Somni. It was a multisensorial event that was held in 2013. We were able to collaborate with more than 30 artists. Different experts from different fields were involved in that project, and in our center we always wanted to have this interlinked dialogue and to be able to cross science, technology, arts, the avant-garde technologies, as well as the craftsmanship, and to have a single space working for the food industry and the culinary experiences. 6 years ago, we renovated this space in order to have a new room for those activities that were already implemented from the Roca Brothers perspective. Everything had to do with the science, with research, but also had to do with a new mindset. The Messiah is called I plus R. What does this mean? It is a concept that allows us to tell people what do we do are from Roca Brothers, but also are from research roots, uh, and also the R from the Catalan word recerca, that means research. Therefore, all these strategies that made us to open the doors of the Masia. It is a physical house with a courtyard and an orchard, and it is a team of people. The Celler team, we have the cooks, we have the waiters, the managing team, the responsibles of the restaurant, and all the individuals that work on a daily basis at the Celler. We have a chemical team, we have a botanic specialists, biodynamic agriculture specialists. We also have graphic designers. We count with a group of makers, architects. We have musicians in our team. We have architects that collaborate with us, as well as different entrepreneurs. Therefore, it is a melting pot in order to make this dream, this somni, possible. Each and every one of the members can share their research projects and to make this dream bigger than before and to make dream come true. Well, what is our methodology when talking about creation and creativity? It is very difficult to talk about a methodology when talking about creativity because we have loads of freedom in our research center. However, we want to work together. We have a collaboration work that aims to co-create based on a daily research, the daily activity in the kitchen, the daily activities working with the cutlery, with the plates, the dishes, together with the restaurant guests for them to better understand the culinary world, trying to develop different scents, perfumes, and enticing the olfactory sense. It is quite important to us, and this is something that makes us to be connected with our past and our memories, and also we develop the different cooking techniques. Therefore, I'd like to greet our dear friend Salvador Brugues that is working in this field for our restaurant. And also, we research the smoking techniques, the fermentation techniques, as well as producing our alcoholic drinks. It is a center that allows us to keep on researching. Therefore, we are able to open new windows, new possibilities. We are able to keep on researching. Sometimes it's a little bit much more scientific. Sometimes it's a little bit much more technologic, and we share our knowledge amongst our team. It is also a place to better understand the restaurant guest experience through design world, through art experience, through the different senses, perception, how to reach the guest at the restaurant, and how through the culinary experience we'll be able to convey our research and investigation when the restaurant guests are at the restaurant room. Let me tell you that in this space, at the Masia Research Center, we also think about sustainability and how to recover all the restaurant waste. When we finish the dinner and lunch, how can we make possible to reuse, to transform all the waste in a center, in a craftsman's center? We work with glass, we collaborate with designers, with artists that work with glass. They transform the waste to offer a new life to all the waste that we have in the restaurant and to reduce the environmental impact. The main idea of the Masia is to be curious. We want to be curious. Curiosity is a key word when researching. We want to keep on investigating. We want to open new doors, new windows, and to collaborate with the different partners that are making possible to create a new perspective in the culinary world, and they are making us possible to open new ideas and to get involved in new projects. We also collaborate with the research centers, we work with hospitals, as well as with different enterprises and companies aiming at growing personally, but also offering new ideas and solutions for the culinary industry. Well, in a nutshell, I thought about the title of this session, Technology and Gastronomy. Therefore, for the Masia, it is important to know that creating teams is vital. The members of our team make possible to reach new knowledge and to be able to work with new technologies. We want to boost creativity and to encourage creativity to all the members of the team, very diverse people working with us, and we hope that this is our main goal. Thank you so much, Eloise. We'll follow very closely all your activities, and now we have Paco amongst us. Welcome, Paco Perez from Miramar Restaurant. Paco Perez, as I mentioned before, Paco Perez, it's quite an individual that was able to put together technology in the culinary world and use technology for the benefit of the restaurant results and gastronomy world. I don't know, Paco, if you have a presentation to share with us. Can you hear me? Do you have a presentation or do you want to share your ideas with us? He's going to talk about the avant-garde culinary world. You come from quite a classic culinary world. Okay, now I can hear you. Okay, fantastic, Paco. I was sharing with the audience that you made a great job when creating a revolution in the culinary world. You began to work at El Bulli many years ago, and well, now you will share with us. You will talk about the avant-garde cooking techniques and how you put together the traditional gastronomy with the avant-garde gastronomy, and how did you use technology to offer new ideas to the culinary world. Yes, that's it. Thank you so much, Salvador. Well, good evening, everyone. Luis, Tomas, and Tony. It is a great pleasure to share with you this session. Let me tell you that we have Wi-Fi. We don't have a fiber connection, so it's quite a very bad connection, so I do apologize. First of all, and after listening Eloise and this fascinating world and everything that you are doing in Dimasia, let me talk about the avant-garde and what is the avant-garde to me. The dictionary says that it's a group of people, an ideology, movement that are always at the front line. We had, before the Nouvelle Cuisine, the Basque gastronomy and the El Bulli revolution that we all witnessed. And to cook, it is important. My dear friend Ferran Adrià defines cooking as the transformation through different techniques and tools to make something eatable. This is for him the definition of cooking. What is the avant-garde? To me, the avant-garde concept, it's quite a complicated and complex concept. We're still discussing about the idea of avant-garde because we can put together different fields of action. Maybe we witnessed the first avant-garde when a human being appeared in the planet. Thanks to the ability of being creative, human beings were able to get things from the environment and to transform it. to make things much more desirable, and this is what really relies on our perspective. But when we talk about the avant-garde cooking, we'll talk about this idea of nouvelle cuisine that was made by Henry Gold, a journalist. In 1972, he witnessed a new movement in the culinary world in France that made that some cooks to get separated from the classical perspective, and that's when we talked about this nouvelle cuisine. We all know what are the main cooks that open a new way to cook till today. How do we see this avant-garde? And how do we try all together to have, let's say, an avant-garde cooking we here in our restaurant? I think that it is very important to be curious. Therefore, curiosity made us to be able to innovate. And from this curiosity on, we transform all the ideas that we have in our minds, thanks to technology, thanks to science, thanks to culture, thanks to our team, thanks to our environment, thanks to our people, thanks to our collaborators, whether we talk about producers that help us to make things possible, because sometimes a new product will make us able to open new ways, new perspectives. The global idea in our restaurant, it is to make dreams come true and to convey our dreams in a plate. There are different nuances that will make us to be in the avant-garde. But from a global perspective, it's very difficult to be in the front line because everything has been already created and invented. Therefore, those that are able to see something different are those that will be able to put in a plate and to bring to the restaurant innovation. This is what we are doing right now. I do believe that everything has been created right now. We are experiencing a moment that is not breaking at all with the past, based on this continuity, the continuity that was created at El Bulli, at El Cellier, at Mugaritz with Andoni. So people that were able to break with the past. But we are carrying on with these previous ideas. So how are we making things possible in our restaurant from a humble perspective and to make restaurant guests to enjoy the meal? At the end of the day, what we want it is to share our story. We began in the 90s. Afterwards, we work in the 2000s. We get through the avant-garde with the classical recipes. We want to combine everything. And also the thoughts of the restaurant guest. The restaurant guests more and more have much information and they understand where we are aiming at, where are we going to, and also we want to exchange the opinion with the restaurant guests and also to know what are our expectations and the what the social media is installing in the eater minds and how can we disrupt these trends. Expectations are very important. Therefore, we can see synesthesia of smells, of experiences, of textures. So we need to be innovative when talking about senses and to make eaters and restaurant guests to feel new sensations. We also need to include the role of producers. And at the end of the day, what do we do? What we really want it is to restaurant guests to feel something different and to have fun through our techniques and through cooking, because this is what we do. We cook. The avant-garde is not breaking with the previous patterns. There is no rupture today. It's always based on what we already created in the past and finally made us to reach these nowadays situations. And to have a new rupture, it's going to be quite difficult in the future. At the end of the day, we can see a new path, sustainability, this respect towards nature, but this won't make it possible a new avant-garde. I don't know if I was clear enough, and I don't know what is your opinion. We have a round table and a Q&A session. Thank you very much, Paco. And now I'll give the floor to Manuel Brugués. Manuel Brugués, he's a cook. He is a teacher at a cooking school. He also is a freelancer. He's got a workshop. He works with vacuum cooking techniques. He's not the creator of these vacuum cooking techniques, but he's one of the main stakeholders of this vacuum cooking technique, together with Mr. Canet and Mr. Roca. And what can I say about himself? He's got 2 books. He collaborated in several books together with John Roca. He's got a collection of classical recipes. He says that he is a rock star. To me, it's much more a jazz musician from this creative perspective. He loves the culinary world, and I believe that he goes beyond the limits. Maybe I'm talking too much, but Tony, together with Joan Roca, made it possible to have technology at the service of the culinary world. A technology that already existed, but there was not a system. I think, Tony, you would talk about it. Because in the past you made many things, but you didn't understand the purpose of it, right? So now he's offering new solutions for low temperature cooking techniques. Yeah, thanks so much. First of all, when making this metaphor and after listening Paco and Eloise, I do not feel like a jazz musician. I feel much more like another kind of music. But let me tell you that I come from the fire culinary world. I come from a hotel. We have a good kitchen and a fire kitchen, and I'm specialized in low temperature cooking. Let me tell you that when you talk to people about low temperature cooking technique, people think that you are cooking with low temperature under 100 degrees, but I'm cooking with a temperature closer to the produce. When I talking about temperature, I'm talking about technology and knowledge. We're lucky enough because we have the knowledge, we've got the technology. My grandmother cooked with a low temperature, slowly, simmering. So we also need love when talking about this kind of cooking.
Pensada que es cuina al buit.
Low temperature cooking, when thinking about this low temperature cooking technique, it is not a vacuum technique. It's only a part, it's only a side of this cooking technique. Today, we are able to better master temperatures, but also different textures and different techniques. However, I do believe that it is important to understand that when we cook, we are looking for people to eat better. And to me, to eat better means to have a much more pleasurable experience when talking about textures and flavors, but also to eat better means to eat healthier. Therefore, low temperature has a very important role to play. And I'd like to add on something, another value when cooking in low temperature, a new value that Paco mentioned, sustainability. We must take care about we'll have. We need to take care of the environment. In this sense, I believe that the low temperature cooking technique has a long way to do. As you said, Salvador, I began to work with Joan Roca, Narcis Canet, with this vacuum technique, together with Mr. Praluz, that came to our cooking school, together with Joan Viñas, which was a great cook in Catalonia. And sometimes I'm against vacuum cooking techniques. You know, we have an issue with vacuum techniques. The issue has to do with plastics and the flavor of plastic. We'll need to find a new solution. And I can see two solutions. We have a company in Girona named Sistemas de Embalacha. They are able to produce vacuum bags that weigh half of the regular bags. So they were able to reduce at a half the consumption of plastics. We are able to keep longer the products, but the vacuum technique must use bio products, and we can see that many companies all over the planet are working with these materials, and sometimes we are not aware about what we have here in Girona. They are making a great job, and sometimes we only think about the big ones, and sometimes we forget the small companies such as this company that we have in Girona. If I reach the conclusion about the contribution of this low temperature technique, I do believe that there are two things that must be mentioned. Something that we began at Celia de Can Roca. I was the first one that made this proposal. And finally, we had an induction technique, always controlling the temperatures, something that we'll have at home in the next years to come. These stoves will have the ability to better control the level of temperature when you cook broths. Instead of boiling, we'll have 85 degrees temperature without bags, and these broths will have much more vitamins and will cook much better for those that we love. But not only in high-end restaurants, this will be available at home. The idea to have low temperature techniques at home will be a great innovation. We created a new machine, the RoboCoop, and once you buy an induction stove, you will be able to master the temperature for deep frying, for boiling vegetables at 85 degrees Celsius, for aubergines and eggplants to have the flavor of eggplants, and to have all the nutrients that vegetables have. What else can we do with this low temperature technique? Well, I think that we must get rid of a plastic. We need to find new strategies and new techniques for ovens. Ovens must be improved. We used ovens for high temperatures, but not for low temperatures, because we usually work with the two main items, time and temperatures. And we didn't improve humidity, the percentages of humidity, and movement. Some home ovens have ventilators and fans. If you cook at 100 degrees, you need a higher temperature. 100 degrees in an oven, it's a very low temperature, but if you touch a boiling water at 100 degrees, you can burn yourself. So it is important to understand this relationship between humidity and temperature to have a better cooking technique. What else I did? Well, I made a class on low temperature technique. It is important to have this kind of training. When I see that people from Chile, from South America, is making this course and they are getting this training, I feel very proud because we are the ones that are working for this low temperature. Can also work with a Kamado oven. We can work at low temperatures. And I'm very happy to see that many people are interested in this technique. And as Paco mentioned before, sustainability is the key word. But let me tell you something else. On the one hand, we must reduce the amount of plastics, but also technology must stem from the heart. At home, my mother didn't have any kind of waste. One of the dishes that I really value the most, it is in one of the main books because we like to cook in pans. It is the Tim soup. Our grandmothers used Tim to reuse the bread and herbs together with olive oil and vinegar and water and vinegar steals the nutrients that bread and Tim have, right? So if we cook it in a lower temperature, we'll be able to develop new techniques, and we always have to cook from the heart. This is what I wanted to share with you. Thanks so much, Varo. And now we are going to Indonesia. I don't know what time is it in Bali. It is 3:30 in the morning. Tomas, I don't know, good morning or not. Tomas Diaz, co-founder Oko Club, he says that he is in Indonesia to learn, not to have fun. Let me ask you, what are you learning there? And what are smart cities? And what is the relationship with smart cities and the culinary world? Barot talk about these smart cooking techniques. Paco talk about sustainability, and Eloise talk a little bit about Dimasia. What do you want to share with us, Tomas? Good morning. You have the floor, Tomas. Good evening. Thanks so much, Salvador. What a big challenge. It is a big challenge to me to introduce this topic together with those incredible speakers. We try to put together and to connect things that sometimes are not obvious at all. One of our main missions it is to see how technology can help us to improve different procedures. We work in the textile sector, the food sector, product design, and many other sectors. But how technology will be able to empower people, but also will be able to help us to fight for the common causes that we were sharing before, such as sustainability and the manufacturing sector. Let me share with you my screen just a second. I will skip to presentation mode. Please, are you able to see my presentation? I'm going to skip and share with you several images for you to better understand where is our purpose. I do belong to Fab Lab that belongs to the Architecture Center of Catalonia, and we are putting into practice how to proceed this digital revolution when manufacturing. This is an image of a computer around 70 years ago. We have two digital revolutions. We have the internet revolution, we have the computing revolution, and the third revolution will be the manufacturing revolution. The technology acceleration has been together hand in hand with the environment degradation. We need to reflect on how technology will make us possible to improve the relationship with the environment. This is an image of my country of origin, Venezuela. This is an image of Barcelona, my home. Technologies such as the vehicle, so vital in the 20th century, has been the main source of CO2 emissions, which damages the living beings. And now, an image from Indonesia. All the packaging that maybe comes from Barcelona finishes at the shores of Indonesia. So the planet and the nature is changing, and we can witness several cycles. One of the most important cycles has been the nature cycle that made us to witness changes on the rainfalls, the influence of climate change, the quality of soils, and this made us to be able to create new technologies, but mainly in agriculture, an industry that exists for more than 14,000 years of history. If we make a leap beyond, we want to know what is this coexistence between technology, society. Not only how do we use technology, but also how technology it is a great tool to better interact with the world from a different perspective. That's where we see this real revolution made by Fab Labs, such as 3D printing machines, as well as many other technologies, such as the creation of different circuits to make everything possible. However, to me, the most important thing, this digital revolution that made me to get connected with you, the Fab Labs are connected. A Fab Lab that is producing something in Australia can send a file, an object of file, to the other side of the world and to reproduce it. We belong to this network, and also we are the ones that are boosting this network together with the MIT and the FabLab Foundation. We have a campus at the Poblenou Novo in Barcelona, an old manufacturing center. As many cities, Barcelona lost the manufacturing capability, but also the agriculture production. We are in an old farmhouse. 100 years ago, it was a farm. This farm, it is in Bailaura, and it was an agriculture center. And cities do not produce food. The majority of things that we consume comes from very far away. These are the strategic areas of the Fab Lab. Will be involved in a European project. And, this is our portfolio innovation, working together with the support of the European Union in a food shift network, and we collaborate with several companies in order to transfer this knowledge from digital manufacturing and how this company will be benefit from our work, such as IKEA. Well, this is just a theory, but from a local scale, we were able to create different academic programs and research programs, and how our students and researchers are able to create this kind of aquaphonic devices to produce, as well as bees and honey production and wars. There, you know that the bees are responsible for pollinizations. We also have drones to better monitorize agriculture production, as well as self robots to have micro farms instead of having huge extension agriculture systems. Everything is in open code, and also to combine new technologies such as digital production and sensitization together with a very old technology like wine production. We had this project together with some uh, wine producers in the Priorat, and also to create a restaurant inside the Fab Lab. This was a collaboration that we made together with the Leca restaurant that participates in this maker fair. Now Leca is in Canbaidaura, in the farmhouse, in the Coisarola Park. So this was something that was made possible thanks to the Fab Lab work. And you can upload and download all the restaurant structure. And also, we want to put together the organic world and the non-organic world, how machines can reuse waste and different textiles, and how to create bioplastics through very small laboratories, and to offer bioplastics, and also a little bit twisted innovation and research, and how to work with nature and how to design together with nature. This is one of the work that was made by one of my students, and how Nicolas is trying to train fungus to devour cigarette butts that are very that are polluting all over the planet. And Nicolas realized that it was possible through a fungus to biodegrade some elements, but didn't like nicotine. So Nicolas worked together with this fungi, and then finally he was able to extract mycelium that was able to devour the cigarette butts. Alexandra worked together with different biology schools from a creative perspective, and Emily, another student, was able to develop a menu made by insects to substitute the proteins coming from cows and pork. So this is putting us into the context of our work through European funds, through master students, and this is what we do. And in this portfolio, we have a new project that it's called Food Shift. And it is a great project that has an holistic perspective through different experiments all over Europe, aiming at transforming not only the technology that we use for food, but also how to transform culture habits related with food. It is quite a big project. It counts with 27.5 million euros. It's going to last for 4 years, always in relationship with the United Nations SDGs. We want to understand how the food industry can be a new system inside a system. Eloise talked about the need to have a much more innovative approach, a multidisciplinary approach, and this is something that we are making possible through this project. Because I believe that there is a triple challenge when we talk about the interaction in this food shift project. First of all, the urbanization level. The urbanization is impacting rural areas. Secondly, climate change. The agri-food sector has a big impact on climate change, and the agri-food sector made us to eat products that are not good enough, and this provokes malnutrition. Here you have more details of this European project. However, to me, one of the key elements when talking about food, and this will make us possible to have an open debate, we need a culture transformation. Do we have to stop eating jamón, serrano? Do we have to stop to eat burgers and only eat plants? How to set a relationship with our culture and food culture, the products that we eat, mainly in Spain, we can see a very deep culture when talking about ham and many other meat products. That's what we are doing in our food accelerator labs, and also the citizen implication, it's vital. Let me just conclude. I'm going to skip some of the images. And let me conclude inviting you to next week event. This event is going to be held in Barcelona, and we want to better assess the different technology availabilities and how to scale up this kind of technology development for the food sector beyond everything we do in the Fab Lab in Barcelona. So that's all from my side. Thanks so much, Salvador. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you so much, Tomas. And now we are going to talk with the responsible of Alicia. I guess that you are in San Fritos de Bages. We talk with Tony Massanes, the director of the Alicia Foundation. Well, I think that he's going to talk about the responsible food laboratory, science, evolution in the food sector to better it. He published several books, and you made many things. And you also work with wildboard. We microwave and wildboard. It's something that really impressed me. It really surprised me because when talking about microwaves and wildboards, it's important to find new strategies, right? Tony, you have the floor. Let me see if if I manage the screen. Okay, great. Brilliant. All right, let me just share with you my presentation. It is a pleasure to share with you. I think that we have amazing colleagues here in this panel, and let me tell you what is Alicia. Alicia, it is the result of what you do. It is the result of what you are. It is the responsible food laboratory. And what Badeau was telling us is true. We wanted to transform the projects and all these speculations that the Fab Lab is making possible, and the European projects trying to put together the knowledge and trying to find practical solutions and to make things real. We want to go from art, this avant-garde art, this revolution that happened here in Catalonia when we changed the century, because we were born in 2003 together with Elo.
convertir-ho, diguéssim, no? Allò que pugui ser, no? D'alguna manera, amb això, no? Amb passar de l'art al disseny, si
We
voleu,
wanted to go from art to design, to make things possible, to make things real, to make people eat better. Maybe I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to repeat other members of the panel ideas. The main idea it is to go from the culinary arts, the disruption ideas, those disruptive ideas, to have a scientific approach. Scientists and cooks work together in order to be responsible. This is the idea of research that the European Union is trying to boost, the research and innovation with the people and for people. We want it to be a responsible full lab. Thanks to co-creation, design thinking, offering innovation. We are not a lab, but we work together with different enterprises, companies, hospitals, elderly centers, with farmers. We work with all this food ecosystem because at the end of the day, it is the single manner to make things possible and to make things real. This is, at the end of the day, the main purpose of this Maker Fair. I'm going to talk about the origin of everything. Let me talk about the appearance of the first maker. Suddenly, someone decided that was able to transform the world to improve it. The first step of a human being. When archaeology taught us that we had the first human being. When a human being decided to cook, it is the breaking point, the disruptive moment that separates human beings from other animals. Here you have an image of the different digestive systems of different animals. In this study, human beings, we are not omnivores, we are cookingvores. Because if we'll see an animal such a pig that will wait as much as I do, you can see that pigs need a longer digestive system. Why? Because we humans, we are able to digest food before eating. And this allows us something very cool. When we began to cook, you can see the evolution of human beings. You can see that this curve is soaring as we use less energy to digest and to feed the body. We can have much more energy available to make our body to improve and to make our brain bigger. 2% of our weight body will consume more than 20% of what we consume. I'm talking about the brain. Transforming things before eating made us able to be Homo sapiens. The Homo faber, it is the cooking human that allow us to think. And how did we do it? We did it through technology. We didn't have teeth like carnivores have that will allow us to cut meat as carnivore will do to better digest. However, what do? We have the first tool, the first knife. It is to me a knife. It is a knife that will be used to cut sashimi or carpaccio or to produce tataki that allow us something that we cannot do and to take advantage of the energy and nutrient perspective. Lions can bite meat, but we can do it through this device, through these stones. We don't have the system that birds have, therefore we cannot grind as birds do. But before cooking, we already cooked. And this has to do with the evolution theories. As Rich and Brandon said, cooking made us to have a bigger evolution as animals. When we were able to use a fire, it was a huge revolution, right? But when talking about this evolution theory, the evolution of brain and the culinary techniques, but we don't have at all this system that cows have. Cows, they can ferment. They have different elements in the stomach that allows them to better metabolize cellulose, and they have like a fermentation machine in their stomachs, but we don't have it at all. So at the end of the day, we make things differently from other species. We are the ones able to cook, otherwise we won't survive. We make food, so we are the makers of food. And why do we do it? Or how can we do it? We can do it thanks to a very simple formula. I show you here some olives, but animals, they look for food, and if they are not able to eat what they find, they look for something different. We transform things to make them edible. Olives are not edible. Olives, they have some elements that are not good when eating olives. They are very bitter, therefore we don't like it. What do we do with olives? Through physical and chemical and biochemical processes, we break it, we break olives, we solve it in water, and we ferment olives, and finally we have something very tasty. The question will be always the same from a maker perspective. What do I do with these elements that I find in nature for them to be edible? What do I do? What I put in? What do I make with these olives? Maybe a complicated dish made by Paco or Vado or by the Cellier team. They always ask themselves, what do they do? What do they put? How they can transform? That made us to be gods when eating. We work with mathematicians and IT members, and we developed an algorithm, and we took a classical recipe, Catalan beans, and we translate it in a scientific language to work with AI, with machine learning afterwards. And we have these kind of formulas. But at the end of the day, this is the same idea behind the curtains. What do I take out? What do I add? What do I put in? How I transform any creative cook will think about these techniques. And we do it for people to eat better. we take this creativity, we take science in a rigorous manner, we create knowledge, we create this design thinking, we scale up the techniques, and we finally design and we developed a tool that allow us to have better food, better recipes. We apply all these algorithms and we apply all the values that you mentioned before. We measure everything. We call it the Alicia Index because it was us to create it. And well, you already mentioned, right, all the values before, but all the values allow us to have this scale and this index when we talk about sustainability, tasty, uh, significant, ethical, practical, cheaper, green friendly, eco friendly, balanced. When Salvador talk about all these items, we can measure and we can better design and better create new food. Not only to have eco friendly and balanced and safe, not only relies on what, it relies on who. If I'm suffer some allergies to gluten or many other issues, well, we need to know who is going to eat the food, right? Thanks to this system, we can better design new nutrients and foods in our center because this is our main role. We want people to eat better. And let me just conclude with the next idea. We've been working since 2003, 2004. We made loads of mistakes at the beginning when we opened our foundation. Now we are much more professional and we work together with the producers. We work with the farmers a lot and we made possible to transform food to eat better and we treated more than 40 diseases such as cancer, colon cancer, psoriasis, kidney diseases, diabetes, and many others. One of the last projects in which we were involved, we worked with a rare disease. I told you before, I want to see myself. I told you before, and I briefly conclude, I told you before that we can put a lot of energy and we do it through glucose to feed our brain. But sometimes there are rare diseases such as refractive epilepsy that doesn't allow glucose to reach neurons. Therefore, neurons doesn't work properly. So it's like a breakdown. The fuse doesn't work and we can have epilepsy, shocks, and well, if a nephrologist will listen to me, will kill me. However, this produces loads of problems, very big issues for those suffering these kind of diseases. Luckily enough, and the evolution knows that brain is capital, we have another system to feed neurons, and we can do it through cetonic bodies. These bodies are produced through fat metabolism when we burn fats. For those and they have this pathway to feed neurons and they have an issue in these pathways that make them to suffer a lot of brain problems, if we are able to feed through a different pathway, we'll be able to make these people to be better. So, what did we do? We designed several foods that comply with the requisites of the Alicia index and scale, but allow these patients and these people to better eat and not suffer epilepsy attacks. Usually they do not like because sometimes they have 89% of fat. Every meal they eat around 80-90% of fat. So it's the only solution that we found. So it's not good for them. So how can we make pleasurable this experience of eating fats and to fight against epilepsy? So we learn a lot from Paco, we learn a lot from Bado, we learn a lot from Eloise and from her team, we learn a lot from Tomas. And at the end of the day, we also created this open code. Tomas, this is a knowledge that you can find in our website. You can find in our website Keto Licia, and depending on the disease and the degree of this disease, you can adapt the level of fat for you to be safe. We have different algorithms that will allow you suffering this refractive epilepsy to get rid of this disease. We have millions of people in the world suffering this disease. Therefore, you can eat better and something that is going to be useful for you. This is, in a nutshell, a very brief example of what we do in our Alicia Foundation. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Tony. And now we'll have a Q&A session, but I think that we have a question for Tomás Diaz from Martina. How can we adapt new consumption ways for the general public? This is the $1 million question. One of our main goals, it is to transform not only from a technological perspective, but also from a culture perspective and habit perspective. We must know what do we consume mainly in cities. I'll try to do a short answer. We already developed a relationship with the nature system and the environment. We already have an exploitation of nature system. So how can we take the biggest level of a profit to create a product and to make business? This is the base of the Industrial Revolution. I'm trying to simplify everything. However, we are consuming. We don't stop consuming, and we extract loads of resources from forests, from mines. Therefore, technology need loads of mining products here in Indonesia. We have a huge problem with palm tree oil and how we are cutting loads of forests that are the responsible for the climate balance in the planet. How we need to change this accelerated consumption mode in which we are all in. I don't believe in decreasing. I don't think that we don't have to stop consuming. I think that we must change the technology and how to transform plastics coming from petrol and oil, and how to create biomaterials that can be produced. How can we reduce the freight, the transport of products? If Salvador, if you have a 3D printing there, I can send you a file through the email of everything that I can design here today, and you can produce it. There is no need for you to put it in a plane or in a boat, in a vessel. So innovation has to do with mindset changes. We need to transform our habits. I do believe that marketing is great. We created habits that were not good or were not common 100 years ago. And also we need the role of all the institutions that are the responsibles to educate the population and citizens. That's why we must work from schools and to universities and masters and so on and so forth. So we need to keep on trying and to put it into practice. Something that I can see in all the presentations, it has to do with sustainability. Sustainability to all of us is very important. When you send something to be printed in a 3D printer, I need the 3D printer. I need the goods to produce your product. Maybe it's easier to have the disassembled elements and pieces, because sometimes the elements are not good. Maybe, yes, it is a good. Maybe you can do something with wood, but sometimes, from a technological perspective, from a technological level, when we want to be much more practical, things can be a little bit much more complicated. But not all the companies are the companies such as Bado mentioned before that are trying to reduce at a half plastic. Maybe we should reduce 100% the plastic production, right? Not only 50% reduction. This is just a comment for Bado. You know what happened? I don't know, but at the end of the day, when you work with technological ingredients, it's like working with cooking ingredients. So how the supply chain works. I'm just thinking about your free code, your open code to create a new restaurant. And I'm thinking about the Tony recipes and also Paco recipes that are in a book, as well as Eloise recipes. Everything is an open source code. We have an open and non-open. Sometimes recipes are opened, but I have to buy the book, right? So when we talk an open source, are the recipes that we can find in the internet. Sometimes it is not as open as we think. When I gave you this piece of example, it is something that you can find in the internet. You have all the calculations, you have it in Catalan and in English, so you can calculate. It seems very easy. For sure, you need to count with the clinician that is dealing with the patient that suffers epilepsy, right? That suffers from epilepsy. Well, at the end of the day, it's just a mere example. However, I do insist on the idea that it is a vital because, okay, open source. At the end of the day, it is important to have an idea. As Jorge Wagensberg, we were friends. I really admired him, and to me, it's one of my reference when I try to better understand our world and our reality. He said that an idea, it is the seed that will offer us an idea, a solution that will grow. It is an opportunity for a solution. Sometimes the problem doesn't exist, and sometimes it exists, such as the COVID pandemic. But let's say something. When Paco, last time I went to your restaurant, I was hallucinated by one of your dishes. It is a mixture of the sea products and the mountain products. It is a calamari together with mushrooms, and suddenly I can see Thomas that says the fungi are not plants. Well, I'm just teasing you, but myceles and mushrooms, are they going to be important in the next future? I do believe much more in mushrooms and snails, much more than in insects in this side of the planet. I do believe in snails. There were snails in Roman times. Romans, they already eat snails, and they had snails farms. Well, I'm interested in what you do. I want you all to continuously produce ideas, and Tomas to bridge all the ideas and to fill the gap to find better solutions. Because at the end of the day, Paco, he is a creative man, right? He is just a pure creativity, 100% creativity. Well, he also has some motivations, such as being much more sustainable. But if things are better used, and if we are able to convey and the world knows what we are all making possible, they can be intertwined. And you talked before about the palm tree oil crisis, and maybe if we work together, we'll be able to help the planet. This is quite a powerful thing. Because finally, Thomas said, I don't believe in decreasing. He said, I don't know. I have no idea at all. However, I believe that there will be things that will continue uh, consuming. Maybe changing our cell phone every 3 months wouldn't be possible, or changing our car and consuming fuel and oil. Eating, there's no other choice. There's no plan B. We'll have to eat. So, all the ideas related with the food sector are vital. Last year, I went to the MIT and I had the chance to collaborate with MIT, and many MIT members came to the Alicia Foundation. And there are three main investigation fields: AI, self-driving cars, and food. These are the three aspects that the MIT is working with. We witnessed the issue with the COVID. We can stop making many things, but when we talk about eating, there is no other plan B. We don't have it when talking about food. What are the strategies that you have to reduce waste? What are the efforts that you make to recycle? If you allow me, I do believe that the whole society needs to get involved and must get involved. What I try to do from my side, as you know, I work in a cooking school. When I talk about low temperature techniques, it is important to clean the food beforehand in an adequate manner, to know how to chop the food and the products. It is important to reduce energy, and I believe that the young ones will have to face a chaos, because maybe we'll all pass away in the next future, right? So we must work together with the young ones, because they are the impact that they have. It's always very negative. Young people are willing to make things possible. They do love cooking, but they have been astonished by the cooking world. In the past, if you were not the number one, you were not in the cooking industry. You don't have to be the king of the kings, right? If you know your strengths and you know how to cook well, it's enough to prosper in this world. We have a lot of vegetarian students, vegan students, and they do not opt for vegan food because they love vegetables. It is the way they live. They live a vegan life, right? So we need to include these changes. From a technological perspective, what I really like, it is the team soup. My mother always had for dinner this soup, because the bread was so mellow, and the melted egg inside the team and the water that boiled. I don't like it. I didn't like it at all. But now we have a new recipe at a lower temperature. So to me, it is important to put into practice our knowledge. As I mentioned before, the plastic waste, as Tomas said before, we need to reduce, at least to reduce. In the past, we package a lot. We cooks, once we wrap something with a plastic, we cover it 3 times, and at the end, if we put it a plastic cover, it will be fine. So we don't need to consume this film plastic. So our role is to make young people to dream in a better future. When we talk about recycling, reusing, there is a factor that sometimes we always forget. We talk about e-cars, e-vehicle. They do consume energy. When we talk about the savings of energy, I'm not talking about low temperature. Does this imply to reduce energy? You know, yesterday I was talking with a boy that has a catering in Reus, in Tarragona, and it is a catering service that produces a lot of food. He cooks at low temperature, and he was able to save 20% of energy. When we have the oven 180 degrees for 30 minutes, we burn energy. So we must better understand how energy works. I do have at home a Kamado oven. If you don't have a Kamado, it's nonsense. I realized that people they control a lot the amount of coal because in the past people they didn't have a lot of coal and wood. Here at home, I had a fire stove, and we heat water, and it was like the heating system at home. Now I have a new stove, and I'm fed up of consuming fuel and gas in my car, and I guess that finding new solutions, such as this stove that I put in my fire, it would be great. So we need to reduce plastics, we need to reduce the level of consumption, and we must all work all together. What do you do, this year, the San Roca, to save energy? What is the research that you have? More than research, what did we do? We mastered the amount of energy that we consume at the restaurant, in the main room, but also in the kitchen. We have an audit, experts on energy in the culinary world to better understand what were the decisions that needed to be taken and to better manage energy and to unplug as much as possible all the electronic devices that are not needed at all because it is a huge expense. We are changing the lighting in the restaurant, we're changing to LED. It's quite obvious, right? But on a daily activity of a restaurant, sometimes it's difficult to take some decisions. We do also analyzed the kind of waste that we have. And the first answer of this waste observation was to be aware about it was necessary to cut the amount of waste that get into the restaurant, that get through the door of the restaurant. So therefore, we talk together with the providers, together with the sales team, to know that we don't want more waste. We are not accepting at all pork span. We are rejecting as much as possible the pork span that we have for fish, and also wines that comes with pork span boxes. We wanted to recycle, and we want to make materials to be in the circuit and in the recycling system, and at the end of the day to reuse and to transform. In our workshop, always rethinking the products and to reduce the amount of waste. So we made a previous step to rethink and how to say no, to say no to waste that will get in the restaurant, into the restaurant, and to, well, to rethink, to reuse, to recycle, the 3 Rs. And maybe rationalizing would be also great. All of you here, Tony published many, many things, but all of you working in the kitchen, in a whole year, would you accept that several members of a team to analyze what do you separate, what is the amount of waste that do you have, because there are a lot of plastics, but also you're throwing away a lot of food. And we talked about it with Tony. When you go to a congress and you see the amount of food waste, it's something very scary. Tony, who wants to intervene? Maybe Vado. I really want to be sincere. In my village, San Hilary, we have a recycling system and we speed up the process. I thought to myself, now my in-laws won't be able to do it. But it's just a habit, something that was very revealing to me. I'm in Girona and we have a cooking school, right? And we have issues with the food. Young people at home, they don't cook a lot. There are many things that do not like it. They don't like beans, they don't like fish. It's just an issue of waiting and see. But they throw away a lot of food, right? And you keep an eye on them. But unfortunately, now we need people in the room, and people, instead of leaving the trays on the char, they have to throw the food in the waste bin. So to throw the food in the waste bin at a self-service at the canteen, that's where I realized that there was quite a big change. To me, it was the biggest thing we did in the last years, because once you have to throw away the food that you didn't eat, you do not realize about the importance of food. The food that we have at school, it's very important to us. We spend a lot of money, but it has a moral value to us. It has an amazing moral value. This is a tiny change. Students to throw away the food that they didn't eat made us to improve the level of food waste. So sometimes it's much better to rethink and to find small solutions in order to progress. Let me share with you something, Salvador. Just 30 seconds because we are running out of time.
Un altre exemple de per què fem
Another thing,
laboratoris de creació
what is the
d'identitats.
purpose
El Paco,
of
explica'l tu.
lab creation?
Ostres, jo he vist
What is
plaques
the
de Paco
purpose of
que ells
laboratories? I witnessed Paco that uses the fish skins
amb el de cuina, però
and
jo
he
no he vist
does this with this odd cuisine. This is a new idea,
explica una mica,
right? Paco,
però jo crec
tell
que
us
és
what
important.
I think it's important. Well,
Paco, tens
Paco,
un minut.
1 minute. That's a challenge.
Hola.
Hello.
Ja que tenim
Well,
que parlar de vanguardia, jo crec que
we had to talk about the avant-garde.
entre cometes de vanguardia són
I think the avant-garde or high cuisine restaurants, we are the ones that must be the responsibles
que parlar de reciclar plàstic, el pòrex, no? Com deia l'Eloïsa, que seria
for not using plastic and pork pan and many other materials. It would be fascinating.
ja rebutgem tot
We do reject everything that comes
ho saben els
packaged in pork pan, and people sending us the product, they know it. The fishmongers, we have our own boxes. Everything comes with our boxes. Inside our boxes, what we are asking for are people to stop
grans interessats.
damaging the planet.
Faci directe, Toni,
The big players.
perquè tenia diverses cosetes a dir.
I had several things to share with you.
Dir, a
Tomás,
molt bé també,
I want to tell you something. Technology is great, but sometimes we are going too fast.
no tenim conceptes
And
espacial,
we have this space waste that is creating a big chaos.
no està sapiguent.
I think that young people is not able to administrate and to better manage.
Un segon, que és important.
Just a second, this is important. I have a comment for Bado.
La baixa temperatura
Low temperature.
és
We talk about delivery, right? Right now, it is important. It is the future for delivery food. Maybe it would be a great option and choice. And also, Eloise said brilliantly before, knowledge. Knowledge is vital. We need to make knowledge possible in our field. When we take the fish, we do not only see the slice of fish, we use all the spare parts of the fish. To have such an amazing product, to eat everything from the fish. We use the whole fish. There is no waste when cutting and cooking a fish. And when eating at home, it is important. Paco, that's a great end. Thank you. We skipped time, so we must conclude this conversation. And together with Paco Pérez, with Eloise Vilaseca, Tony Massones, Salvador Brugués, and Tomás Díez. It has been amazing. We talked about many, many things. I think that we'll have a future meeting and we'll meet together once we have the vaccine. Thanks so much to everyone. It was very intense. We are over. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bienvenidos a esta sección Visiting Spaces de Maker FAIRE Girona, en la que vamos a disfrutar de la visita de un montón de espacios, de un montón de iniciativas interesantes, y vamos a conocer a la gente que está impulsando estas iniciativas, de todo tipo de proyectos maker y de todo tipo de proyectos interesantes. Y precisamente el primer proyecto del que vamos a hablar es Green Leca, y para ello vamos a contar con Iván Enríquez y Arleni Medina. Pero para conocer mejor la iniciativa Green Leca, vamos a empezar con este vídeo. Vamos allá.
En LECA desde inicios, desde el 2015 que nos iniciamos con el Open Source, seguimos con la misma filosofía, compartir todo, con lo cual hicimos el concepto Honest Food, donde aplicamos un cambio y ese cambio significó un antes y un después en el restaurante LECA.
Se trata de hacer un restaurante suficiente, social y que integre a la población con todo el medio natural que nos rodea. Todos tenemos que saber de dónde proviene lo que comemos, lo que sentimos y lo que somos, sobre todo.
He nacido en el restaurante y me he criado dentro de una cocina, dentro de una sala, y llegó el punto donde cogimos el restaurante con Arleni, vimos la necesidad de cambio, de hacer las cosas de otra manera.
Por eso, aquí en LECA, nosotros queremos dar a conocer a todos lo que es la alimentación, lo que es un producto, lo que conlleva el crecimiento, la producción y luego la elaboración y la transformación hasta que llega a un plato de comida y todo lo que hay detrás.
Todo. ¿Cuántos camiones venían a nuestro restaurante durante la semana, durante el mes, durante el año? Calculábamos cuánto gastábamos en residuos orgánicos, en cristal, en latas, cuánta carne comprábamos, de dónde venía, cuántos kilómetros hacía, pescado, lo mismo. Y a partir de ahí, investigando cada punto, fuimos encontrando sorpresas, soluciones, cambios que teníamos que hacer. Nuestro trabajo consiste en seguir investigando, no rendirnos. En Cataluña, el pescado que consumimos de nuestras costas solo es el 20%. El 80% viene de afuera. Parte de ello viene del Atlántico de la zona de África, donde los grandes buques europeos, Portugal, España, Francia, Suiza, han comprado toda la zona de pesca, dejando sin trabajo y sin comida a esos pueblos como Senegal. Gente que luego emigra aquí y no la queremos, pero nosotros nos comemos su comida y nosotros nos comemos su trabajo. Por eso en LECA pensamos en reducir nuestro consumo de pescado. Fue una de las acciones del Honest Food. Reducimos el pescado un 50%, luego un 80% y ahora lo empezaremos a trabajar solo en eventos. Con la carne lo mismo, todos sabemos el problema que trae el consumo de carne, con lo que decidimos consumir carne ecológica de proximidad y para llegar un poquito más allá, trabajar en el animal entero. Al trabajar el animal entero no dependemos de una pieza, no dependemos de un transporte constante. Trabajamos lo que tenemos y vendemos lo que tenemos hasta que se acaba, luego añadimos otro animal entero.
Circular Ghost, que es de todos los descartes de todos los animales enteros que adquirimos, además de cereales y mermas del restaurante, hacemos una mezcla de proteínas que tienen un alto valor nutritivo, que se pueden reutilizar antes de tirar a la basura, pues lo utilizamos o lo reutilizamos para hacer comida de animales domésticos. También otros proyectos circulares que llevamos a cabo en LECA es el jabones de aceite sucio, marro de café como un exfoliante natural. También con las latas de café que sobran hacemos lámparas. Nuestras tarjetas de presentación del restaurante son hechas a través del residuo de papel de las hojas del menú. Se reutiliza, se reconvierte en papel, con un sello hacemos las tarjetas del restaurante. Un regalo circular para la gente en casa.
Nuestra nueva ubicación ha sido principalmente con la colaboración del Instituto de Arquitectura de Cataluña y con el FAIRE de Barcelona. Nuestra idea en Green Leca Can by Laura es ampliar nuestro concepto, nuestro proyecto de sostenibilidad. Aparte colaboramos también con restaurantes sostenibles, con la Generalitat, Living Lab y el Ayuntamiento de Barcelona en proyectos de sostenibilidad, de restauración, alimentación.
El fin de este proyecto es también hacer como un club social.
Haremos cursos, talleres,
donde la gente pueda integrarse, aprender, empoderarse y usar nuevas tecnologías como las de Fab Lab Barcelona o investigaciones del Ayuntamiento de Barcelona con respecto a la alimentación, a la sostenibilidad.
Queremos ser la restauración del futuro, pero hay mucho trabajo a hacer. Si me preguntan ahora si soy un restaurante sostenible, no, aún no. Nos queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Es un trabajo constante que vamos desenvolupando poquito a poquito.
Que no es solo alimento, no es solo un productor, sino es el ecosistema que hay en una naturaleza y lo que somos como humanos.
Las cosas que hemos investigado las seguimos compartiendo. Es nuestra base de la filosofía, compartir todo lo que hacemos. Y lo hacemos para otros restaurantes, para gente del sector, como para gente desde su casa, que pueda hacer aquí en el próximo club social esos cursos para aprender a gestionar residuos, a empoderarse
y no depender del sistema.
Exacto. El futuro es nuestro.
Bueno, qué iniciativa tan interesante, Grileka. Aquí hemos visto a Arleni y a Joan, que nos van a acompañar en estos próximos minutos para conocer más sobre la iniciativa. Y la verdad es que hay un montón de preguntas que me vienen a la mente, ¿no? Justo acabamos el vídeo con ese pensamiento de hoy no somos sostenibles, pero en el futuro aspiramos a ello, ¿no? Y creo que parte de lo que buscáis es inspirar a otra gente. Entonces, quería saber cuáles son los próximos pasos o que pensáis dar vosotros, pero también qué pasos podría dar la gente ahora mismo, gente que venga del ámbito maker, para acercarse a esa idea de la sostenibilidad, de tratar de ser más sostenibles. Así que no sé quién de los dos quiere empezar, cualquiera.
Gracias, César. Muchas gracias.
Hola, César. Buenas noches. Pues por los makers que, bueno, no solo los makers, todas las personas pueden empoderarse utilizando, bueno, viviendo de una forma más sostenible, no solo reutilizando sus residuos, sino también alimentándose de forma, de proximidad. Porque no solo consumiendo local, eres sostenible, sino también que ayudas al comercio y perdona, que me pongo nerviosa aquí.
No pasa nada. Como si estuviéramos comiendo, imagina que estamos en Grileka cenando a estas horas y charlando sobre el tema. Así.
Qué rico. Siempre...
Un arrocito de verduras con trompetas de la muerte. Ay, Dios, qué sabroso.
Qué buena especialidad.
La clave está siempre en cada uno en su ámbito, analizar lo que está haciendo, ¿vale? Y buscar mejores soluciones y no dejar de hacerlo y continuarlo, ¿no? Porque cada vez tenemos más información, cada vez el mundo comparte más cosas de las cuales nosotros podemos aprender de ellas o nosotros podemos crear algo nuevo a través de nuestras investigaciones y poderlas compartir para que todos evolucionemos, que la cuestión es compartir. Ahí es la clave de la sostenibilidad. Compartir todo para que podamos evolucionar hacia un mundo mejor.
Esto es, al final, pasito a pasito y poco a poco. Una de las claves que dabas, que yo creo que es interesante, es la cuestión de los datos, ¿no? Ahora estamos en un mundo digitalizado, todo está digitalizado. ¿Qué es lo que más os ha sorprendido cuando estabais investigando, ¿no? ¿Cuál es el siguiente paso que podemos hacer? ¿Qué es lo que más os ha sorprendido que totalmente inesperado, ¿no? Que a lo mejor no sé si algún proveedor que pensabais que era local y resulta que estaba desde cualquier lugar o cualquier cosa por el estilo. ¿Qué es lo que más os ha llamado la atención? ¿Lo que más os ha sorprendido?
Primero de todo, muchas, ¿no? Porque al final muchas, porque siempre cuando analizas algo que te sucede al día, que lo replicas a la semana, al mes y al año, luego ves eso y dices, wow. Pueden ser kilómetros, pueden ser residuos, pueden ser kilos, millas, etcétera. Pero cuando empezamos el análisis, ¿vale? De proveedores, teníamos un proveedor local y cuando quisimos profundizar en él y visitarlo, nos encontramos puertas cerradas. ¿Sabes? Y dices, wow.
Eso es lo que iba a decir, justamente. Nos dijeron que no podríamos visitar, que no podíamos ver cómo en condiciones vivían los animales, cómo hacían el proceso, no puedes.
¿Qué significa eso? Que a veces, obvio, lo local, bien, pero profundicemos un poquito más en lo local para saber qué hay detrás, porque a veces pues te encuentras algo que, bueno, pues no podemos hablar del qué, pero...
Sí, por eso, bueno, nosotros promovemos el comprar en productores éticos, sobre todo. No solo que sean ecológicos, porque el sello de ecología lamentablemente vale mucho dinero y tiene que tener como muchos estándares, ¿no? Que a veces son meramente burocráticos y que imposibilitan también al productor a darse a conocer, sino que el que ya que hagan prácticas amables con los animales, con el producto, de la forma holística que hagan sus cosas o que las produzcan, ya con eso debería bastar para decir, bueno, es ético y podemos comprar y podemos adquirir y dar también, cocinarlo.
Eso es lo que hablabais, ¿no? De una elección que se va sumando a pequeñas elecciones y que en el día a día, al final, pues todo suma, ¿no? Cuando hablamos de algo tan masivo, ¿no? Como la comida. Una pregunta que os quería hacer respecto a la comida, la restauración, ahora mismo con el COVID es siempre un reto y creo que habéis estado precisamente todo el periodo del confinamiento sin parar de poner en marcha nuevas ideas, nuevos proyectos. ¿Cómo veis vosotros el futuro? Ahora supongo que estaréis también pensando en la vacuna, en cómo va a ser también... ¿Cómo creéis que esto puede impactar en el día a día y cómo creéis que va a evolucionar en estos próximos años?
Bueno, aquí nosotros, por ejemplo, en Pueblo Nuevo, en nuestro restaurante Pueblo Nuevo, lo hemos tenido que cerrar, ¿no? La crisis nos ha llevado al cierre de ese restaurante, ¿vale? Pero bueno, también teníamos la oportunidad de abrir el nuevo restaurante en Collserola y hemos puesto durante este confinamiento toda nuestra energía ahí y esta ha sido la primera semana que abrimos. O sea, ahora mismo nosotros estamos felices y contentos por abrir, aunque sea con un 30% de aforo, estamos la mar de felices, porque lo único que teníamos ganas ya era de trabajar.
De trabajar ahí en medio de la montaña y practicando, ¿no? Bueno, expandiendo nuestro concepto, que es el honest food, que es estar, ¿cómo es? Adquirir productos de proximidad, enseñar a la gente qué es lo que está comiendo, de dónde proviene, y no solo eso, sino que investigar, ¿no? Un poco más acerca de todo lo que el entorno, ¿no? Hemos descubierto que Valdaura se llama Valdaura porque era el Valle del Laurel, Can Valdaura. Entonces, en el valle tenemos laurel, tenemos cireras sbords, tenemos, ¿sabes? Como aprender de ese entorno para alimentarnos, que es lo que debemos promover, ¿no? Alimentarnos de lo que más cerca tenemos.
A nivel del futuro, a ver, ahora mismo nosotros nos encontramos un poquito con qué va a pasar, ¿no? ¿Qué va a pasar en enero? ¿Nos vamos a volver a cerrar? ¿No nos vamos a volver a cerrar? Y eso, a ver, nos tiene bastante nerviosos, preocupados. Ahora, pues bueno, pues nos centramos en trabajar en lo que podamos. O sea, nos centramos en diciembre, en trabajar lo máximo, cumpliendo nuestras pautas de trabajo, distancias, etcétera, y esperando que, bueno, que el año que viene mejore, porque al final queremos volver también a Pueblo Nuevo, pero no volveremos hasta que esto del COVID
al principio intentamos muchísimo, o sea, en el restaurante Pueblo Nuevo hicimos una e-commerce, el takeaway, leca en casa, para que nuestros clientes pudieran seguir cocinarse ellos mismos, nuestros productos, de todo intentamos, pero bueno, nuestra cocina creo que no se vende por takeaway. Y no es solo eso, sino que no podíamos utilizar plataformas de reserva porque ese 30% que te quitan de comisión ya era nuestra ganancia. Entonces, bueno, tampoco valió la pena aguantar abiertos. Y bueno, ahora queremos que no nos cierren porque ya esta segunda no sobreviviríamos, pues.
Una cuestión, estamos hablando de visiting spaces y de comer, que es algo que es físico, no se puede hacer por internet, y me gustaría que nos dijerais cómo llegar y también recordar a todos los que estáis viendo, porque nos quedan unos 4 minutos para cerrar, entonces es importante que ahora nos contéis a todos cómo se puede llegar a Grill Leca, y también hay gente que está preguntando a través de YouTube, que está en el directo, que está enviando preguntas y que nos manda una pregunta relacionada con esto y la lanzo ya y hacemos así como el cierre antes del siguiente espacio. Y nos preguntan por internet, si todo el mundo consumiera productos kilómetro cero de productores locales, ¿no tendríamos un problema de abastecimiento? Así que vamos a empezar por la parte 1, empezamos por cómo llegar y luego le damos una vuelta a la pregunta.
Bueno, se puede llegar, una de las opciones es caminando a través del camino verde, subiendo por la parte de Horta, desde el metro Vall-Laura o desde el metro Canelles y subir andando y bajando andando. No
40 minutos más o menos de subida.
Sí, y bajando, después de comer, puedes bajar rodando si quieres, mucho más rápido.
Así se cogen fuerzas.
Carretera de Horta, el kilómetro 7.08. Ahí estamos, desde Barcelona a Cerdanyola del Vallès.
20 minutos desde el centro de Barcelona.
Perfecto, cerquita. Y la pregunta que nos mandaban, ¿qué ocurriría, cómo veis el tema del abastecimiento si todo se sirviera a kilómetro cero?
Pues yo creo que si nos convirtiéramos en ciudades autosuficientes, que es lo que debería ser el futuro, ¿no? Que produciéramos mucho más y dentro de las ciudades fueran productoras, pues no hubiese ningún tipo de problema con el abastecimiento, porque nosotros mismos produciríamos e intercambiaríamos entre nosotros la comida.
Y no produce, claro, o sea, tenemos mucho terreno, se puede aprovechar muy bien todo lo que tenemos, con lo cual, obviamente, no tenemos un análisis completo sobre eso, pero se podría analizar, trabajar y aprovechar todos los espacios. Seguro que...
Pues seguro que hay formas y cosas. Agradeceros vuestro tiempo, Arlene y Iván. Ha sido un gusto conocer la iniciativa. Si estáis viendo ahora mismo Maker Faire Girona y os apetece probar algo de cercanía, como decíais antes, hecho con mimo, pues ahí tenéis Grilleca. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Ojotech y Maker Faire Barcelona por invitarnos. Perdón, Girona. Besitos.
Adiós.
Bueno, pues nada, vamos a seguir este Visiting Spaces no para aquí. Acabamos de conocer Grilleca y vamos a pasar ahora a conocer el siguiente proyecto, que es 3D Factory Incubator. Así que vamos a arrancar ya mismo con Aitzane Arvide.
Proyectos de impresión 3D entre nuevas startups, tanto dentro del territorio como en toda Europa. El objetivo... Hoy me gustaría presentaros la 3D Factory Incubator. Es un proyecto que se inauguró hace ahora un poquito más de un año. Es un proyecto liderado por el Consorcio de la Zona Franca y Fundación Leitat y cofinanciado con los fondos FEDER a través de la Fundación INCIDE. Y su objetivo es crear la primera incubadora mundial de tecnologías 3D que pretende generar proyectos de impresión 3D entre nuevas startups, tanto dentro del territorio como en toda Europa. El objetivo de esta incubadora consistía en incubar durante los próximos 5 años los mejores 100 proyectos. También me gustaría deciros que si os interesa profundizar más en todas estas iniciativas, en nuestra página web de factorybcn.org tenéis todos los proyectos listados. Sobre los servicios que prestamos a los incubandos, el primero y más evidente es el de poder disfrutar de este espacio. Contamos con despachos y además también contamos con esta estupenda sala de coworking donde las empresas tienen un sistema de plug and play, vienen cuando consideran y simplemente están aquí trabajando con nosotros. También contamos con esta pequeña ágora donde sobre todo hacemos presentaciones a clientes, formación para los incubandos, jornadas de networking, jornadas de financiación. Vamos con los servicios. Como os comentaba, el primero y el más típico es el servicio de incubación física. Les prestamos también servicios de comercialización y de internacionalización, que no se nos olvide que al final estamos hablando de startups que necesitan que les ayudemos a lo largo de toda la cadena de valor. Y evidentemente dejo para el final los dos servicios más característicos de la incubadora, que son los servicios vinculados con la impresión 3D y la normalización de los productos. Entramos, por lo tanto, en nuestro laboratorio. Como veréis, desde esta puerta hasta esa puerta que tenemos aquí, tenemos toda la zona de prototipado. ¿Eso qué quiere decir? Que no son máquinas adecuadas para escalar a industrialización, pero en cambio sí nos permiten hacer un número de tiradas muy cortas, sobre todo con el objetivo de validar prototipos. Aquí podéis ver que tenemos un brazo robótico. Este brazo robótico cumple dos objetivos. El primero es fotografiar la pieza que queremos replicar para que luego la traduzca en un software y que sea más fácil imprimirla, y también nos sirve para, una vez producida la pieza, pasarla por debajo del brazo robótico y poder garantizar que todas las medidas que nos ha pedido el cliente son las que efectivamente se necesitan. Aquí entramos en la zona de industrialización, donde veréis que tenemos dos equipos de HP con sus equipos de postprocesado. En breve tendremos un equipo más, lo que nos permitirá ampliar aún material. Actualmente estamos imprimiendo en PA11 y en PA12. Con la llegada del nuevo equipo podremos imprimir también en TPU, que es un plástico flexible. Me gustaría también explicaros que tenemos un equipo que es una chorreadora y otro equipo que es una pulidora, lo que nos permite pulir las piezas y darles la textura que el cliente necesite. Si tuvierais interés en mandarnos alguna candidatura, lo único que tenéis que hacer es entrar en nuestra página web, la que mencionaba antes, de factorybcn.org. Ahí tenéis la Call for Proposals. Normalmente la Call for Proposals la cerramos cada 15 días. Es un Word muy sencillo donde sobre todo queremos que nos expliquéis qué proyecto tenéis entre manos.
Bueno, pues justo acabamos de ver este vídeo con Aitzane Arvide, que es directora de 3D Factory Incubator, una propuesta pionera en Europa para acelerar proyectos de impresión 3D. ¿Qué tal, Aitzane?
Hola César, ¿cómo estás? Hacía un año que no te veía y he prometido que lo diría, me prometiste una visita y ha pasado un año y no has cumplido, ¿eh? El año que viene espero poder decir otra cosa.
De Maker Faire en Maker Faire nos vemos. Es cierto que el año pasado justo coincidimos en una de las charlas y quedé pendiente de visitaros. Y ya que ha pasado un año, ¿qué ha pasado en este año en 3D Factory Incubator?
Pues mira, es una muy buena pregunta. Abrimos hace un año y un COVID, como bien dices, y la verdad es que no nos podemos quejar. Han pasado muchas cosas. Mira, lo primero que ha pasado es que tenemos ya 42 proyectos incubados que confiamos en que sean 50 a llegar al final de curso, al final de año. Por otro lado, no sé si recordáis, teníamos 600 metros cuadrados habilitados con una inversión de 3 millones de euros, con equipamientos industriales todos a vuestra disposición. Nos hemos visto un poco sobrepasados por el éxito, con lo que hemos ampliado 300 metros cuadrados más, hemos ampliado equipos, ahora podemos producir en TPU, en Multijet Fusion, tenemos una cortadora láser, bueno, hemos crecido bastante, por lo tanto estamos muy contentos y estáis invitados a venir, César ya lo está, todos los que nos estáis escuchando, también cuando queráis. Nosotros seguimos abiertos con todas las medidas de seguridad de COVID, así que estáis invitados a visitarnos cuando queráis.
Esto se lo preguntaba también a la gente de Grilleca. ¿Dónde estáis? O sea, ¿dónde estáis?
Sí.
¿Cómo se ubica la gente que quiera ir y que le apetezca conoceros?
Sí.
¿Y cuándo se puede, o cómo es esto? No sé si tenéis ahora mismo, a lo mejor ahora con el COVID es más complicado la visita, pero ¿cómo se hace?
Mira, todo lo contrario. Para nosotros, la verdad, manteniendo todas las medidas de seguridad y todos los protocolos que tenemos, seguimos funcionando con relativa normalidad. Sí que es verdad que tenemos ahora un nuevo modelo de incubación, que es la incubación virtual. O sea, bueno, todos sabéis que estamos en la época de la industria 4.0 y, por tanto, es una verdadera ridiculez desplazaros a todos hasta Barcelona si es que os pilla desmano. Para el que quiera venir, estamos en el edificio del Consorcio de la Zona Franca, en Barcelona, hay parada de metro, esto lo tenéis en la página web, nos podéis encontrar perfectamente, pero no es necesario que vengáis, nos podéis llamar y todos los equipos están remotamente a vuestra disposición, los equipos humanos y los equipos científico-tecnológicos. Por lo tanto, encantada de que nos visitéis, pero si alguno no puede o le pilla de mano o está lejos, no es para nada necesario que tengamos contacto presencial.
Es muy interesante esto que cuentas porque ahora que estamos con los talleres, cada vez se da más esta virtualidad, ¿no? De, oye, estamos haciendo un taller, estamos desarrollando algo y dices, oye, te mando el fichero, ¿no? Te mando el archivo, se puede imprimir, se puede...
Pero perfectamente. De hecho, para nosotros esto ha supuesto una ventaja. Piensa que antes el modelo de incubación implicaba tener a personas de vuestros proyectos desplazadas en nuestras oficinas, ahora para nada esto es necesario. Por lo tanto, la limitación de espacio la tenemos totalmente superada y nuestra única limitación es la capacidad de los equipos de impresión que tenemos para imprimir, que por suerte todavía no hemos alcanzado. Por lo tanto, para nosotros el trabajo en remoto solo ha sido una virtud, ¿eh? O sea, de hecho, trabajamos hasta mejor.
Se ha adaptado, ¿no? Cuando alguien necesita algo puede ponerse en contacto, pero claro. Es interesante pensar que una de las cosas que a mí me parecen más potentes del modelo es que no solo es impresión 3D, sino todo lo que rodea la impresión 3D, ¿no? Claro. Buscáis proyectos de gente que quiera dedicarse y utilice la impresión 3D.
Mira, te lo voy a intentar contestar de una forma súper resumida. Nosotros hacemos todo lo que el emprendedor o el maker no quiere hacer. desde el diseño, el rediseño, la producción, el postproceso, la internacionalización, los modelos de innovación, la búsqueda de financiación tan necesaria hoy en día. Por lo tanto, nosotros solo queremos ayudar. ¿Y en qué ayudamos? En aquello que el maker o el emprendedor o la emprendedora quiera ser ayudado.
Sé que es difícil cuando estás todo el día viendo proyectos de impresión 3D y de alguna forma todos son...
No es difícil, es maravilloso, ¿eh?
Digo,
es maravilloso.
Todos son... pero eso mola, pero lo difícil es elegir.
Sí,
de todos los proyectos siempre hay favoritos, siempre alguno que te gusta.
Sí.
No voy a decir que te gusta más, que te haya llamado más la atención.
Sí,
¿Qué nos podrías compartir que te haya gustado de este último año que hayas dicho, esto es la bomba? Esto es...
Jolín, César, parece que está preparado, pero me haces todas preguntas maravillosas. Primero, a nosotros más que los proyectos nos interesan las personas. Lo que nos interesa es que un proyecto nos apasione. Si luego el proyecto requiere algún remodelado con el emprendedor, evidentemente, lo que nos importan son las personas. A partir de aquí, lo que tienen que hacer es enviarnos una solicitud explicándonos un poquito el proyecto. Esta es su aplicación formal. Y ahora que no nos oye nadie, que estamos hablando solo tú y yo, te voy a confesar algo. Cuando un proyecto no cumple alguna de las características que nosotros pedimos, normalmente lo que solemos hacer es avisarles en privado para que retoquen la application form y nos la vuelvan a enviar. Por lo tanto, trabajamos con ellos desde el inicio de la presentación de la propuesta. Si nos gusta el proyecto y sobre todo la persona, siempre encontramos la forma de llevarlo adelante.
Eso al final es lo importante.
Perdona, y me preguntabas algún proyecto del que me haya enamorado. Yo soy como hija de padres divorciados, que quiero lo mismo a mamá que a papá. Por lo tanto, todos mis proyectos me emocionan muchísimo. Pero por contaros algunas incorporaciones que hemos tenido recientemente, pues, tal vez las más curiosas, tenemos a Odyssey, grandes amigos que están haciendo saxos electrónicos impresos en 3D, tenemos a LIC, que está haciendo gafas, tenemos a empresas de plantillas de zapatos, empresas de maquetas, la verdad es que todos los proyectos son preciosos y están, porque los hemos elegido nosotros y todos están en la página web.
Eso sí que es interesante. Mucha gente quizás al pensar en impresión 3D piense en diseñar impresoras y tal, pero vosotros estáis ya con la fase post impresoras, ¿no? ¿Ya hay muchísima tecnología de fabricación o no?
Sí, o sea, no te pienses. Ahora ponía esos ejemplos entendiendo que el público que nos está escuchando puede ser más receptivo, pero nosotros aceptamos proyectos que tengan que ver con toda la cadena de valor de la impresión 3D. Desde un CRM que pueda agregar demanda, pasando por fabricantes de impresoras didácticas que quieran llegar a los colegios. Y sí que es verdad que casi todo, la inmensa mayoría es producto final, donde les ayudamos, pero producto final, aunque sea B2B, donde les ayudamos en toda la fase de diseño, rediseño, producción y distribución.
Recordar a toda la gente que está viendo la entrevista que si queréis ahora mismo mandar vuestras preguntas a través del chat, pues podéis sumaros aquí a la conversación y bueno, pues a lo mejor hay algo que no tengáis claro o que os llame la atención. La verdad es que la impresión 3D cada vez llega a más campos y una de las áreas que yo creo que es más potente es toda la parte también de materiales, ¿no? No sé si ahora mismo estáis investigando en este tema.
Sí, o sea, ¿cómo entendemos nosotros la cadena de valor de la impresión 3D? Primero viene el diseño, desarrollo de materiales, procesos, postprocesos y desarrollo de aplicaciones. Sí que es verdad que la incubadora se centra en TRLs, en productos que estén muy cercanos a mercado. Pero Leitat, que es una de las partes que funda este proyecto conjuntamente con el Consorcio de la Zona Franca, es un centro tecnológico y una de sus unidades de investigación se dedica al desarrollo de materiales. En la incubadora este tema lo tratamos menos por entender que está menos enfocado a mercado, pero podemos ayudaros también en todo lo que implica el desarrollo de un nuevo material que sin duda es muy complejo y sobre todo muy costoso.
Sí, cierto es que, de hecho, ahora justo empezamos hablando del COVID, ¿no? Y ha ocurrido que, pues, con toda la pandemia han empezado a imprimirse soluciones en 3D. Ha habido como una avalancha y has dicho algo.
Sí, es que no me gusta cortar al moderador, pero en la confianza que nos tenemos lo voy a hacer. Me gustaría contar una iniciativa que para nosotros ha sido emocionante y, bueno, muy emotiva. En plena pandemia, con la suma de muchas voluntades y muchas de ellas vuestras, hemos desarrollado un respirador, que es un respirador de campaña, evidentemente no pretende competir con respiradores estándar, un respirador invasivo, o sea, que se introduce en la garganta del paciente. Hemos fabricado 400 y están distribuidos en hospitales de Cataluña. Por lo tanto, bueno, es un ejemplo claro Evidentemente, hacer mascarillas, protecciones, esto es importantísimo y se tiene que seguir haciendo, pero la suma de 42 partners con conocimientos distintos nos ha permitido homologar, producir y escalar a producción un respirador totalmente funcional. Y estamos, la verdad, que muy satisfechos de este trabajo que hemos realizado con todos vosotros.
Hombre, es muy impactante, ¿no? Pensar ahora, hablamos antes de la vacuna, ¿no? Que está todo acelerándose y yo lo que noto es que se da una aceleración, ¿no? Pasamos de tener una idea a producir una idea o a cosas que antes decían, esto se va a tardar 10 años, parece que se están acelerando los tiempos de todo, ¿no?
Es que qué duda cabe. Sin duda, nosotros fuimos capaces de poner en marcha el proyecto del respirador porque una de las ventajas de la impresión 3D es que te permite iterar muy rápidamente y tener un prototipo funcional en ausencia de moldes, con un coste muy reducido. O sea, qué duda cabe de que la impresión 3D acelera los tiempos. Sobre lo que decías de que todo se está acelerando, yo creo que todos tenemos muchas ganas de arrancar, de hacer muchas cosas y de que todo se normalice. Con lo que yo creo que de la que salga la vacuna, esto va a ser un boom y todos vamos a estar trabajando como locos.
Total. Nos queda un último minuto y quiero poner como la vista en el futuro, porque sí que vuestro proyecto es un proyecto de largo plazo, no es un proyecto que dure un año, que tiene más recorrido. ¿Qué te gustaría que fuera como el resultado, ¿no?
Bueno, más que me gustaría, si no pasa, tendré un problema con mi jefe, con el director general de la ITAD. Esto, en realidad, la incubadora es un piso piloto de un proyecto mucho más ambicioso, que es la de Factory, un edificio que comienza con 17.000 metros cuadrados. Lo inauguraremos, si todo sale bien, dentro de aproximadamente 4 o 5 meses, donde tendremos 17.000 metros cuadrados dedicados al Open Innovation y la impresión 3D, evidentemente, será uno de los pilares fundamentales de esta iniciativa.
Wow, pues...
Esa, no tienes excusa para no venir, ¿eh?
No, ya 4 o 5 meses ya me lo voy a ir tachando en el calendario y espero que la gente que nos está viendo ahora mismo por YouTube también, pues se anime y que vamos, se venga arriba y que se ponga también a pensar en cómo se puede aplicar la impresión 3D en el día a día. Y nada, agradecerte, Aitchan, en tu
Un placer, como
tiempo.
siempre. El único problema es que Iván y Arleni me han dado mucha hambre, pero voy a aguantar porque me interesa mucho escuchar lo que tiene que contarnos Guillem.
Bueno, pues justo vamos a hablar ahora con Guillem. Guillem, que está ya por ahí preparado. Gracias. Y como os digo, vamos a hacer la pequeña pausa y vamos ya con Guillem. Vamos a ver si... Bueno, estamos ya por aquí con Guillem Puche de Innova Didáctico. ¿Qué tal, Guillem? Bienvenido.
Hola, genial de estar aquí.
Nada, encantado de tenerte para hablar de vuestro proyecto, uno de los proyectos de FAIRE Girona en el que vamos a hablar sobre vuestra iniciativa de robótica didáctica, que tiene ese nombre, ¿no? Innova Didáctico, en el que acercáis la tecnología a todo el mundo. Pero antes de que hablemos, vamos a dar paso al vídeo para conocer mejor vuestro proyecto. Vamos allá con el vídeo.
Innovar significa cambiar las cosas introduciendo novedades, utilizando nuevas ideas para crear e inventar para así mejorar. Con este espíritu se reinventa Innova Didactic, una empresa dedicada a facilitar a los centros educativos material y recursos relacionados con la robótica, la electrónica y la impresión en 3D. Las actividades de Innova Didactic están centradas en el diseño de placas de control y robots, así como material didáctico para el uso en centros educativos de primaria y secundaria. La fabricación y elaboración de esos recursos adecuándolos a las diferentes etapas educativas. La distribución de este material de forma rápida y económica con asesoramiento respecto a los productos más adecuados para cada necesidad. También facilita asesoramiento y formación. La creciente influencia de la tecnología en los puestos de trabajo hace necesario que los estudiantes actuales desarrollen sus habilidades STEAM. Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts and Mathematics. La apuesta de Innova Didactic por la robótica educativa, la impresión en 3D, la tecnología de control y la programación permite difundir y potenciar el desarrollo de las destrezas STEAM desde edades muy tempranas, con una metodología creativa, integradora y motivadora, favoreciendo el trabajo en equipo y de manera innovadora. Innova Didactic es una realidad con años de experiencia que ha ayudado a introducir en numerosas escuelas e institutos la robótica y la impresión en 3D. Nuestra idea de empresa es la de empresa colaborativa, en la que están presentes los valores sociales y en la que los consumidores pueden ser también los productores, lo que implica una necesaria colaboración entre ambos. Innova Didactic es una empresa colaborativa en la que los mejores especialistas del país colaboran aportando experiencia y conocimiento, así como financiando el proyecto mediante créditos participativos convertibles. Encontrás más información en nuestra web.
Bueno, pues como decía, ya estamos con Guillem de Innova Didáctico, que nos va a hablar sobre su proyecto y nos va a explicar todo lo que tiene que ver con la robótica. Para mí, uno de los campos que realmente está en auge, que hemos visto que cada vez llega a más gente. Guillem,
hola a todos.
Cuéntanos cómo estáis llevando la innovación y llevando la robótica a todo el mundo. ¿Cómo empezasteis por ahí? ¿Por qué decidisteis la cuestión de la robótica?
Porque, como dice, por ejemplo, en el YouTube, aquí abajo en la descripción dice contribuye y experimenta como el futuro está en tus manos. Pues nosotros creemos que la robótica y estas placas que tengo aquí para enseñar un poco todo esto, a los niños de secundaria, incluso primaria, pues es una buena manera que se introduce esto en la clase, que en vez que sea todo teórico, que el profesor solo tenga que expulsar el conocimiento que tiene adentro y que los estudiantes solo son receptores, pues que no, pues que los estudiantes, bueno, la gente joven cree cosas. Y no solo, se piensa que solo la tecnología, la robótica, parece que solo sea para la gente tecnóloga. Como has dicho tú, que sea para todo el mundo. Y por esto de Innova, pues intentamos hacer las cosas que atraigan no solo a los más científicos y matemáticos, sino que, por ejemplo, tengo aquí muchos cables preparados para enseñar. Mira, voy a conectar, por ejemplo, que se puede hacer cosas de arte. Tengo aquí con arte, con LED.
Es cierto que en los últimos años ha llegado esta tendencia, ¿no? La tendencia STEAM, ¿no? Como con este nombre que se conoce, ¿no? De ciencia, tecnología, ingeniería, matemáticas y arte, ¿no? Que yo creo que es un tema muy potente, ¿no? A integrar en el día a día.
Arte y de todo tipo. Por ejemplo, aquí somos del norte de Cataluña, en la provincia de Gerona, pues en una población que se llama Olot, pues hace unas semanas había un festival pues que sobre luz solo. Pues ¿por qué no? Mira, con una placa electrónica, que ahora lo voy a enseñar más bien, pues puedes hacer pues figuras con LEDs y tu imaginación es muy simple, solo con LEDs, pero podrías hacer ahí, introducir papeles transparentes para simular ciertas figuras y esto es la imaginación, el poder. Y nosotros pues creemos que para transformar y crear un futuro mejor, lo mejor es a través de la educación y por esto estamos enfocados pues a trabajar con los maestros y las escuelas. Mira, te digo aquí otro proyecto que mira.
Cuéntanos, a ver.
Para los que no sabéis nada sobre qué es todo esto de robótica didáctica. Pues mira, con esto, una placa que es muy parecido, es una versión del Arduino, ¿vale? Porque es open source, ¿vale? Una versión. Y con esto que tenemos aquí Innova, esta placa de aquí, ¿vale? Que tiene un mogollón de sensores, que por ejemplo, para trabajar en clase, pues puedes trabajar, esto es sensor de humedad y temperatura, pues esto en física o ciencias. Tú puedes trabajar qué es el CO2, cómo afecta al cuerpo, ¿no? Si hay demasiado CO2. Esto ahora ¿cómo se llama? En época de coronavirus, si hay demasiados pues partículas en el aire, pues esto puede servir para ciencias. Después se puede trabajar cosas de sonido con micrófono. Bueno, esto para música. Bueno, se puede trabajar un montón de cosas. Pues con esto lo conectas aquí y tengo aquí un proyecto pequeño que hice. A ver, lo conecto aquí. Vale, esto lo conecto aquí porque facilita mucho más los sensores, ya no tienes que poner cables ni nada. Lo conecto con el USB y todo lo que me estáis viendo lo podéis hacer. No hace falta saber programar código ahí tan raro. Solo ahora lo voy a enseñar. Con programación visual que para todo el mundo, es que chicos de secundario lo pueden hacer. Mira, explico este código. Voy a compartir pantalla, ¿vale?
Sí, compártenos. Guillem nos va a hacer una demo en directo. Vamos a ver cómo se puede programar ese proyecto que nos estaba mostrando de una forma visual. Aquí estoy viendo Arduino Blocks, la
Arduino
pantalla.
Blocks es una plataforma, vale, súper chula Arduino Blocks, porque fíjate, aquí estoy haciendo con esta placa que tengo aquí, creo que se ve, no sé si se ve la cámara, ¿no? Se me ve,
Sí,
vale.
sí.
Pues con esta placa, pues lo que te sirve esto es interaccionar con el mundo real, con el mundo y, ¿cómo diría? Interaccionar, por ejemplo, con los LEDs, ¿no? Tú puedes hacer que con un micrófono, pues interaccionan los LEDs. Pues aquí, este proyecto, lo que hace es, sin programar, solo con arrastrar como un puzzle, si fuera un puzzle, tú lo que haces es, al principio, pues el LED de color rojo y representa que es un proyecto para, si estás con los padres, para ambientar antes de ver una película, ¿vale? Y aquí vamos a empezar con la canción de Century Fox. Si lo veis en la pantalla hay la canción, y espera que pongo aquí.
Esto es el bucle de inicio, así que cuando encendemos la placa se reproduce estos sonidos, ¿no?
Y después de aquí, si se ve preparar peli, ¿vale? Si se ve en la cámara, ¿vale? Aquí hay la pantalla. Y después aquí abajo es cuando hay un sensor que detecta poca luz, ¿ves? Debajo 50%, es decir, que la luz ambiental ya empieza a bajar, es decir, cerramos las luces de la sala donde vamos a ver la peli con los padres, pues empieza la canción de Indiana Jones. Y aquí, en esta placa, hay un pequeño sensor de luz que si yo lo tapo, significa que hay poca luz. Ya empieza la canción de Indiana Jones. Y ya tenemos aquí un proyecto, pues chulo, que a lo mejor no era robótica, pero aquí tengo otro que mola los robots, pues puede hacer muchas cosas. Y es un mundo infinidad de posibilidades para todas las edades. Y
veo que al final, ¿no?, mezcláis un montón de campos distintos para intentar generar contenidos atractivos que resulten divertidos y que eso anima a la gente a explorar, ¿no?
Claro, hombre, porque si tú desde pequeños empoderas a los niños que su creatividad pueden crear cosas que sirvan para el mundo real, después bueno, yo considero que este mundo se puede arreglar a mejor. Pues si tú, por ejemplo, no empoderas a las buenas personas para que creen cosas, o a los niños que creen cosas, pues solo muy pocos van a poder crear. Y a lo mejor solo los ingenieros, porque la tecnología es como nos domina a todos, pero si pueden crear las personas que son más del arte o de la música, las empoderan más, que creen herramientas, o bueno, ¿sabes qué te digo? Que no solo los ingenieros son los que pueden crear cosas y definir cómo son las reglas del mundo.
Eso es muy interesante, ¿no? Dar herramientas para que cualquier persona pueda participar de forma activa, ¿no? Ahora que todo es tecnología alrededor nuestra. Y hablando de tecnología, decías de YouTube, en YouTube están los comentarios. Si alguien que nos está viendo quiere mandar cualquier pregunta a Guillem y saber más de Innova Didactic, pues perfecto, que lo mande y se lo hacemos llegar. Una cuestión también interesante que he preguntado a los anteriores ponentes es dónde estáis o cómo puede la gente ponerse en contacto con vosotros. No sé si tenéis un espacio en el que hacéis talleres o si vais a hacer talleres a otros sitios.
Mira,
¿cómo se encuentran?
¿Cómo nos encuentran? Hacemos extraescolares aquí para la gente de aquí en la zona, ¿vale? Para los chicos y chicas, niños y niñas. Y también nos puede encontrar a través de nuestra tienda online, porque después nosotros hacemos formación y suministramos todo este material y contenido también. No solo esto, porque los profesores también necesitan, pues, explicar esto a los alumnos. Pues les ofrecemos todo esto a los profesores, que normalmente nos encuentran por redes sociales o la tienda online. Y la tienda online me sabe mal, pero esto es, hoy y mañana está como modificándose, modernizándose, sé. Y voy a colgar el link en el chat de YouTube. He colgado otro link antes. Si no
vale.
El link del proyecto, no sé si se puede abrir. El proyecto que he compartido está abierto, ¿vale? Y después de la tienda online. Y haremos un taller el sábado con el Robolot, que es colaboramos con una organización que se llama Robolot, y presentaremos esto: una estación meteorológica y lo explicaremos cómo conectar internet y cómo trabajar un poco con esto. Y esto el sábado a las 12:30. Por aquí.
Sábado 12:30 en
Maker
Olot, ¿no? Siendo
En Olot,
Robolot, será...
Sí, será.
Robolot, que creo que es uno de los eventos también, supongo que los eventos más potentes de robótica educativa, y supongo que estáis contentos de estar como en este ambiente, ¿no? Viendo
Claro.
que hay más gente que cada vez se interesa y que disfruta, ¿no? Creando.
Claro, hostia, claro. La cuestión es sobre todo colaborar. Y aquí en Innova y en Robolot, pues hay ese espíritu de colaborar, que con la suma de todos, pues podamos brillar todos juntos. Y os animo que ver si el sábado va a ser una sesión de 2 horas, pero que podréis interactuar con nosotros y será para explayarse mucho más.
No, la verdad es que esto hay cosas que solo se aprenden haciendo. Una pregunta que siempre surge es, porque hay ahora mismo todos los niños y niñas en sus clases, ¿no? Cada vez incorporan más tecnología, programación, robótica, pero sí que es cierto que hay como una generación que no es la generación que empezó a programar hace mucho tiempo, ¿no? Con los primeros ordenadores, que a lo mejor no ha tenido la posibilidad de acercarse. ¿Os encontráis con gente también más mayor, con curiosidad, con ganas, que os dice, oye, Guillem, yo es que me quiero poner, ¿por dónde empiezo?
Joder, pues mira, hay también gente, nos han llamado gente jubilada que quiere aprender a programar, incluso para hacer cosas con sus nietos. Pues, ¿cómo empiezas? Pues, si os vais, por ejemplo, en Robolot, mira, .online, mira, lo voy a compartir, Robolot.online, lo voy a compartir por el chat de YouTube. Pues el Robolot.online, pues ahí hay mucho contenido que está todo publicado, todo libre y abierto. Pues aquí podéis comenzar a experimentar un poco. Yo recomiendo, por ejemplo, ahora en la tienda lo estamos modificando un poco, pero, por ejemplo, esto que se ve aquí, es que yo no me veo a mí mismo, pero esto que se ve aquí, por ejemplo...
¿Es una placa de MakeBlock, puede ser?
No, una placa es como de Arduino, pero fíjate que normalmente hay estos tipos, esta es otra, ¿vale? El Arduino, pero fíjate, normalmente la venden con este tipo de cables, así que son muy pequeños y todo. Ahora me veo. Y son muy pequeños, pero esto a veces, pues, a los jóvenes, por ejemplo, poner cables, conectar resistencias y todo esto es un poco chungo. Yo recomiendo que quien quiera empezar utilice sistemas como ya casi plug and play, ¿no? Que no se tenga que preocupar mucho de tener algo palpable y prototipado, porque a veces que a mí me gusta la programación, pues la programación así de web y todo, pues la quieres hacer un poco chula, te enfocas mucho en el código y al final, pues pasa mucho tiempo que te has enfocado mucho en el código y no tienes nada. Y por esto tienes que encontrar la balanza. Si queréis, no os importa mucho el código, la electrónica, pues yo utilizaría, por ejemplo, esto que lo tenemos en la botiga, ¿vale? Es un Arduino, pero Easy Plug, ¿vale? Y nosotros, se llama de la marca que estudio. Pues con esto, como un cable de telefónica, pues mira qué fácil. Lo conectas aquí, ¿vale? Con un sensor. Este ahora no me sale, no sé qué es. Bueno, es que tengo aquí un mogollón de cosas por la mesa. Ya tienes aquí para conectarla al ordenador y programarlo con aquí con
la interfaz.
La interfaz de Arduino Blocks.
Bueno,
esto de aquí.
Uy, me suena, me salta aquí la alarma. Tenemos la alarma del tiempo. Me han encomendado llevar el tiempo y la batuta. Bueno, Guillem, veíamos la pantalla, creo que es muy interesante esa aportación, buscar el equilibrio, buscar la balanza. Yo os animo a que conozcáis iniciativas como Innova Didactic, que os acerquéis a Robolot este fin de semana también, si queréis entrar en contacto. Guillem, muchas gracias por tu tiempo y por tus ganas explicando todo lo que hacéis allí en Innova Didactic. Y por hoy nos vamos a despedir en Maker Faire Girona. Ha sido un día muy intenso, ha sido la inauguración, pero vamos a estar todos los días de aquí hasta el domingo visiting spaces, visitando espacios, visitando sitios y lugares. Así que si no os queréis perder lo que vais a ver la semana, pues ya sabéis, igual que hoy, os apuntáis y nos vemos por aquí. Maker Faire Girona. Gracias a todas las personas que nos han acompañado hoy. Grilleca, 3D Incubation Factory y a Guillem de Innova Didactic. Y nos vemos aquí mañana en Maker Faire Girona. Como dice Guillem, unos besos para todos. Hasta luego.
Mm.